it's Jonathan. Welcome back to my Kids Lost in the Woods series on every fairy tale ever. Today I am joined by Jenna West, and we are talking about Tim Burton's Hansel and Gretel. This was something that I had known existed but had never seen, and was one of those things I'd always meant to hunt down but never did. And ever since I came up with the idea for every fairy tale ever within my Every Version Ever podcast, Tim Burton's Hansel and Gretel has always been at the top of my list if I ever covered versions of Hansel and Gretel. And this was so worth the wait. But I also have to say, up until researching for this episode, I had no idea this was a Disney movie. I don't know what I thought it was, I just knew Tim Burton had made a version of Hansel and Gretel at some point before he became the big name he is today. But I think I thought it had been made at some point between the time he worked at Disney and when he eventually got his big break. But no, this was a Halloween special that he made for the Disney Channel, which aired twice during the Halloween season of 1983 and then was shoved in the vault never to be seen again, except for a few random museum exhibits, which is kind of odd. But Disney itself has never released it since, and to this day it has never been shown to the general public again. Until someone leaked it onto the internet a few years ago, and to whoever that person is, I am forever grateful. I knew this thing was going to be weird. I mean, obviously this is Tim Burton making a thing for children. If you've ever seen anything he's done for kids before, you know a fairy tale by him is not going to be your standard fairy tale. But I had no idea how bizarre this was going to be. I had seen some stills of the witch and of the house, and they looked weird and kind of low budget, but just seeing still images out of context does not prepare you for how off the rails this thing gets the second the witch captures the kids. This special is wild, and if you like Tim Burton's aesthetic or just an out-of-the-box take on fairy tales in general, I highly recommend this one. This was something. I knew this was going to be weird, but I feel like it was weird in a way that I was totally not expecting. Through this whole thing, like, by the end, I felt like I was watching Mr. Rogers if Mr. Rogers made a horror movie.
It's a very unique vibe.
I kind of loved it.
Yeah. Yay! I love this too. Anybody who knows me knows I pretty much rag on Tim Burton all the time now. Ever since, to be honest, ever since his Willy Wonka, I've been very not a fan of his. But
I love his Willy Wonka.
Okay, yeah, I know some people did, but already then, I don't know. I sensed. I like some of Burton's earlier stuff. I really like Nightmare Before Christmas, or at least I used to before it got overplayed for me. But I thought he had an interesting aesthetic. But I feel like that's when his aesthetic started to change a lot, especially for his Alice. Like, I actually feel like his Alice is not his aesthetic at all, and it actually isn't. It was a lot of those designs were a shared artist collaborative effort. He didn't do the designs.
Mm-hmm.
Which I think a lot of people miss, but they missed that. They think he did it. But anyway, when I first saw this Hansel and Gretel, I loved it. Like, this is like early Burton, like 80s Burton. And he had such a style that was so unique. It was like a demented storybook.
Yeah.
This is what I would have loved his Alice if it was anything like this.
Oh,
this is what this is what I thought. This is what I pictured when I heard that he was doing an Alice, and I had no idea about Hansel and Gretel at the time. I think around the 2010, this was still a quote unquote lost media. So when I saw this later, I was like, "This is it. This is great. I love this. I wish he did more demented fairy tales like this."
Yeah.
So yeah,
demented is a perfect word for this.
It really is, and it's such a demented. It's such a demented fairy tale as well when you really think about it. So it works really well.
Yeah.
Like, if you think really hard about it, because I was thinking this earlier when I was rewatching it. Like, Disney would never touch this fairy tale now.
I had no idea this was Disney until I started looking into it for the podcast. I had no idea this was Disney.
Yeah, this is for the Disney Channel. I forget the year, but 80s, like early 80s.
83.
Yeah, 83. There we go. I think it only aired twice, if you could believe that. So it was really hard. Yeah.
I could just imagine the complaints they might have gotten.
Yeah, I could see people being unsettled by this.
This would have probably freaked me out as a kid. I would have been
Yeah,
fascinated, but maybe disturbed by the
I
end.
think as a kid I would have like hated this, but also loved it at the same time because
Yeah,
there's something so enticing about it. I guess kind of like the candy house itself, isn't it? Like,
kind of.
yeah, like you don't want to look away, but there's something offsetting at the same time.
Uh-huh.
That you it's just really enticing as well. So, I I think I would have hated it and loved it secretly. But yeah, I could imagine when the story is that they did get complaints, so they didn't air it again. But technically they did air it again. My guess is that they just probably didn't they probably knew it was weird and they decided they didn't want to bother airing it again.
Well, it says it aired at 10:30 p.m. So, like,
Yeah,
if somebody's complaining, that's your fault for letting your kids stay up that long and get disturbed.
that's true. It was also advertised pretty heavily as thing is it wasn't for adults, but I feel like kids could watch it. It is technically child friendly, but there is this kind of a point where if you're airing it later, as part of a Halloween block thing, because I think they also aired Vincent. Have you seen that short film?
The version that I found online, well, I found multiple versions online, had Vincent attached.
Yeah,
Because I
yeah,
had read that this was supposed to be 45 minutes, but I kept finding versions that were just over half an hour. So I kept looking for something closer to 45, and then I found one, but it had Vincent at the beginning. And then I kept reading, and it was like, oh, I guess they're kind of just getting confused. It is supposed to be just over half an hour, but it was paired with Vincent, and then somebody
yeah.
conflated the two as being one thing.
The full programming block would have been longer,
Hmm.
which is what I think people are. They're looking at the TV guide at the time or the Disney Channel magazine, and because the whole programming block is that hour length of time, they think that must be the length of time of the short, but it's not. That said, we actually still have a little bit of it missing because I apparently Vincent Price did an introduction for it as well.
I
I don't,
did wonder about that because I
yeah,
read that he was supposed to be like the narrator, but I was like, are they just confusing the two? Like, are they saying he's the narrator because of the Vincent short?
I think well, he did a introduction, I think, for the whole block. Now, somebody did post a video of a clip from the introduction. It looks like it's in like some kind of museum or something, but we don't have the introduction online itself, and the clip isn't complete. So I'm not sure if it's an introduction just to the Vincent short or if it's an introduction for the whole block. But yeah, it is kind of interesting, isn't it? This lost media in general. I actually find lost media really interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And especially this one in particular was so weird, and that it only aired twice
Yeah.
would mean, and it was a Disney Channel, which was subscriber only at the time. So like, it must have been hard to find anybody with a copy, and then knowing collectors, anybody willing to share it or sell their copy to be
Uh-huh.
shared. So it's really neat that it did end up online, despite I imagine being very hard to track down.
I'm assuming somebody must have taped it and then uploaded it.
Yeah, most likely. And we are fortunate for that because there's lots of Disney Channel media that is lost just because especially in the 80s, not everybody had VCRs that could record either.
Mm-hmm.
It was a subscriber only channel, so you had to pay to see it. And again, I find a lot of people who have videotapes tend not to want to share the contents of them because I've gone through this kind of trying to find Disney Channel stuff from trying to find Adventures in Wonderland stuff before it was put on Disney Plus, and that was like pulling teeth, and I never got anywhere with anybody. So like to find this must have been quite difficult. So I'm glad somebody did.
Yeah.
So it looks like there is a copy in a museum somewhere. I don't know where that museum was that had the Vincent Price intro, but it did see appear to go on to show Hansel and Gretel itself. I do wish that they would release an official copy in as highest definition as they could get. That would be quite nice.
Now that I
When
know
I say
it's
they, I mean
Disney,
Disney.
I this is can add this to the list of things like why isn't this on Disney Plus?
I imagine it probably has a complicated rights situation, but it is
I
Tim
suppose.
Burton, and people love Tim Burton, especially. nostalgic to Burton, like his old
Yeah.
style. I think people would love to see this, and
This
they
feels
should
like
put it on
something they
Disney
should
Plus.
make a big deal out of and release it on Halloween or something.
Yeah, and play into the lost media aspect of it too. Like, no one, it only aired twice. No one saw it
Yeah.
for the longest time, and now you can.
Yeah, definitely.
Spooky. Though, if they're worried about scaring kids, I do think that Disney Channel, like Disney Plus, would benefit from like a tab of stuff not for children, not necessarily inappropriate stuff, just stuff they may not want to show kids anymore.
They do have age settings. Like you can have a setting that turns Disney Plus into something just for little kids.
Ah, true. Okay. Yeah. But I think it would be very beneficial if they had more adult-oriented, like Disney fan stuff on
Yeah,
Disney Plus too, but they're never going to do that.
which is weird. Like, why don't they lean into this? I feel like
Yeah.
it's a no-brainer.
Yeah, it's like, well, they can watch stuff about that kind of stuff, and it's like, yeah, but I feel like you'd benefit from having like channels on
Yeah,
Disney Plus, and that
yeah.
could be one of the channels or something. But I don't make the rules. But if they felt like this would be inappropriate, like that would be an easy way to have it available and not like traumatize kids with it. But that
Uh-huh.
said, it's technically child appropriate. Nothing really bad happens that
It's just
isn't in the
the
fairy
stuff
tale.
is just off in such a way that some kids would be really freaked out, like the gingerbread man demanding that he be eaten. I think that would have
That
freaked me
was,
out as a kid.
yeah. He also like references. I watched this with my boyfriend, and he referenced so like if you think I'm tasty, and my boyfriend's like that's from like if you think I'm sexy, and I was like, oh yeah, you're right. Like that's creepy. Like,
I don't think I know
um,
what that is. Is that a song?
it's a song or something. I'm not too familiar with it either, but yeah. So it was a reference to a song. If you think I'm sexy, which is like ew. But media at that time had adult references all the time.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just thinking about like Aladdin and how I didn't know most of the genie references as a kid.
No, yeah.
Yeah,
I probably wouldn't know all of them now if I rewatched it.
yeah. Honestly, has anyone done an annotation of genie from Aladdin? I feel like that would actually be useful.
It would be.
Yeah, but maybe people think that's too common sense, and it's like not if you were a kid at that time. I've caught some of the references since, but no. Anyway, that's a tangent.
It's like me watching old Looney Tunes. I don't get the references, but it's still funny.
Yeah. So the aesthetic of this, as I said, it's very like demented storybook.
Uh-huh.
Um,
Very handmade.
it's interesting to see like Burton's style and bright colors. In a way, like that adds to it feeling offsetting.
Especially once you get to the house and it's like part of it is black and white, but then like they puncture the house and it starts bleeding blue and yellow.
Yeah.
It's so bizarre.
Can I just say the house is so unappetizing?
I was thinking the
Um,
same thing. I was like, what child is gonna want to eat this misshapen, disturbing lump?
I guess they're starving.
I suppose.
Yeah,
Maybe it
but
smelled good.
yeah, maybe it smells good, but it just looks ick. And I think a huge part of that is it's probably paint, some of it at least. I know sometimes they're eating it, and but I feel like when they're puncturing the walls, it's paint because that just would have been easier.
When
Um,
they're not eating it and there's like huge quantities of it, I'm assuming it was probably like Vaseline with food coloring in it. I don't
yeah, it
know.
just looked so unappetizing. I was like, what is it even meant to be?
I don't know. It was so
Yeah,
weird.
yeah, like what kind of candy is it? But like, I feel like this is the only Hansel and Gretel story I know where it's like a liquid-filled house.
Yeah, it what because like when I think of Hansel and Gretel, I just think of like a gingerbread house. But this was
Yeah,
not gingerbread.
yeah, or even a candy house, like made out of candy. It's some weird white thing full of paint.
Yeah, it was
Edible
so
paint, I guess.
weird.
I don't know what it's meant to be. What candy is it or dessert is it meant to represent? I have no idea.
when she was peeling off some of the frame, I was thinking like, is it supposed to be like fondant? Because it's sort of ripped like fondant,
I think that
like,
is meant to be fondant.
but like, who wants to eat fondant? Fondant is kind of gross by itself.
Mm, yeah. I think initially I thought it was like frosting or something, but it doesn't look like frosting when she rips it off. It does look like fondant. Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know. Nothing that they eat looks appetizing at all.
I will say though, compared to what they had been eating, I guess this probably does seem like a great feast. Because like you had that whole scene at the beginning where the stepmother, or maybe she was their mother, I don't know, she's feeding them the slop. And then the part where she's eating it, like that went on for so long, I was like, what is this?
Actually, okay, I have a few notes for that. For one, the food looks disgusting. She can have it.
Yeah, because they made it seem like, yeah, she's slopping it into their bowls, and it's like this is supposed to be this disgusting slop that she's forcing her children to eat, except she eats like three
Most of
times as
it.
much as anyone else. It's
Yeah.
like, okay, whatever.
Okay, have fun with that. Um, and then that scene, it has like, you ever think about how comfortable it is to actually notice eating sounds and the sounds of people eating? Um,
I try not to think about it. When I was a kid, like when I learned what misophonia was, I was like, I have that. I think I've kind of gotten over it now, but like every once in a while I'll hear somebody eating and I'm like, stop. Stop doing that. I don't want to hear this.
yeah, I don't know why. I think it's almost natural for a lot of people because it bothers me. But like I try to ignore it, or like the best way to combat that is to eat at the same time someone
Uh-huh.
else is eating.
Yeah.
But uh yeah, this scene like it's almost like it knows that you probably hate that sound and it
Yeah,
just
I think that's the
leans
point. Yeah.
into it. Yeah, it's just so uncomfortable.
I didn't think of it at the time, but it almost reminds me of the scene in Lord of the Rings with Denethor eating the tomatoes. That was disgusting.
I haven't seen that, but I don't know, just the disgust in your voice.
Yeah, that's it was purposely disgusting of that scene. It was like
Yeah,
close up on him eating little tomatoes very sloppily. It was purposely disgusting.
I feel like this is similar. I feel like
Yeah.
it purposely knows that you probably don't like the sound and it's leaning into it.
Uh-huh. And
Um,
drawing it out.
yeah, like it doesn't need to be this long.
No.
And in general, I'd also say I'm going to take this time to also talk about the music because the music is also really uncomfortable. The music feels low budget. It's just this one singular piano.
The music
Um,
is the reason why I kept thinking of Mr. Rogers. Because
it was
Mr.
very
Rogers,
Mr. Rogers.
yes, the
Yeah,
piano music, it felt like Mr. Rogers playing the piano, but off. That's why I
yeah.
was thinking, like, especially by the end, I was like, this is like if Mr. Rogers made a horror movie.
It was kind of weird. It was like at any moment you kind of expected the piano to start. It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood.
Uh-huh.
Like it was, yeah, it was the same style.
Yes,
Um,
exactly.
because I know Mr. Rogers. I know he played the piano, but he also had like a famous musician play the piano as well for most of the show, and he would like improv every time. By the way, did you know that
He did the
every Mr. Rogers?
music.
What?
I just clicked on it. He did the music. He is the
Ah, no
Mr.
wonder
Rogers
why.
guy.
There you go.
Johnny
Yeah,
Costa. It's the
yeah,
same guy. No wonder.
yeah. He has
Oh,
a very
wow.
particular style. Yeah,
Yes,
you recognize
exactly.
him. Are you a 90s kid?
Yeah,
We're 90s kids, just recognizing it. Yeah,
I grew up on PBS, so
yeah. I actually did not grow up with Mr. Rogers, but like I had seen some clips from when I was a kid. I grew up on Barney, which is like, personally, in my opinion, the most boring of the children's show programming.
when I was
I've already
very,
complained.
very young, I loved Barney because I love dinosaurs. But at some point, it's, the world turned on Barney, and I went right down that road and hated Barney.
To be honest, I remember the Barney hate at the time, and I thought it was over. I thought it was stupid, but later I was kind of like, They're right, but they're also wrong because they're hating Barney for the wrong reasons. They're
Yeah,
hating Barney just because he's a child's character,
yeah,
but like he is the most boring of the children's programming. They just
he
sing
is.
public domain songs. That's pretty much it. I mean, that said though, I will say Barney had a lot of when I remember a lot of diversity on Barney, which was nice. But Sesame Street also had a lot of diversity
Hmm.
and was a better show. And Mr. Rogers again had a lot of diversity. I think Sesame Street had more, but it was also a much better show. But
Sesame
anyway,
Street probably had more, but it also was because it had a much bigger cast. Mr.
yeah,
Rogers like one-on-one with people.
yeah, that's true. But anyway, I'm getting off on a children's programming tangent. Um, but yeah, I did see some. I did grow up with some clips from Mr. Rogers, so yeah, we could recognize the piano music.
Yeah. It didn't even cross my mind that it would be the same guy. I just thought it reminded me of Mr. Rogers.
Yeah,
That's
so I
hilarious that it actually was the Mr. Rogers composer who did the music for this.
yeah, and apparently, in case anyone doesn't know this, but what's his name again?
Johnny Costa.
Johnny Costa. He improved every single theme song on Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. So like it's the same basic song, but he plays it a little bit differently every single time.
Hmm.
And apparently it's actually quite advanced to be able to make simple chords like improv like that or something. I'm not a music person, but in this one, I feel like he's also improving.
I was just
Um,
thinking that. I wonder if that was part of what sounded like Mr. Rogers but off, like if that was something he was improving and doing on purpose.
yeah, I think I don't know. It feels improv to me. It almost feels like he's reacting to what he's seeing, but I don't
Yeah.
know for sure.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah,
I don't know what the exact setup was, but I wonder if they didn't film it in advance and then just have him kind of play along as he watched it.
yeah. I feel like that was kind of his style was to improv music as he was watching things. I think that's probably what's going on here. Because I did notice like there was a lot of choices in the music I probably wouldn't. I'm not a music person, but I probably wouldn't have made if I had composed something specifically.
Hmm.
And this one just felt kind of like he. It felt like the pianist was on the ride with us, which is weird because usually the pianist is like guiding you through an experience, right? Or the music of how you're supposed to feel. And this one's just like, yeah, I'm just here. I'm reacting with you. I think this is kind of weird too. We're gonna do like some weird creepy music, like
I mean, it does add to the tone of this thing.
it really does. It just feels unsettled, almost like the music doesn't know what's gonna happen either. It just knows that it's unsettled.
Uh-huh. We could talk about the cast. Not that I know really who the whole cast is. I just thought it was interesting that this seems to be set in Asia because they have a
Well,
whole East Asian cast.
I think the thing that's interesting about this one is like so the cast is Asian, but like the aesthetic is very European-ish still. It's not very Asian.
That is true. The
Yeah,
aesthetic
the
is very
only
Tim Burton.
yeah,
Very
I say
wonky.
European. It's like an Americanized version of Europe, almost mid-century American, like that like Cinderella fairy tale motif that the 50s had going on, but like demented. It didn't really feel like it had anything to do with Asian motifs, except the mother's hair was like traditional Japanese or something. Or maybe not just Japanese, maybe it's just traditional hair. I don't know. Oh, and so there was also nunchucks and like
The
throwing
fighting at the
stars.
end, there was like I don't know the difference between all different martial art styles, but there was some kung fu type things going on because there was throwing stars and the witch was doing like kicks, and then they were like fighting with bow staffs, and then one came apart to be nunchucks.
Yeah, like that's the only thing that feels like Asian to me at all. I don't know. It's a choice.
It certainly makes this a more, I mean, the whole thing makes it unique, but like, not that I've seen a whole lot of Hansel and Gretel versions yet, but I don't know of any that have an entirely Asian cast.
Yeah, I was thinking about it, and well, we've watched well, what was it called? Fairy Tale for Every Child.
Yeah.
And that has made me kind of more aware of just how little representation there is in classical adaptations of fairy tales. And you could argue it's because they're European in origin,
Hmm.
um so the people are white. But like these are the fairy tales we kind of show our children every day nowadays, right? So it's kind of nice to see more diversity, I suppose.
Hmm.
Though that said, a Hansel and Gretel that took place in Japan would have been interesting too.
It would have, but
Yeah, or I don't know if it's Japan specifically. Anywhere in Asia, I guess, would have been interesting.
yeah,
Because I think it is a story that could be adapted to different cultures quite
it
easily.
is.
You could just make the house out of whatever dessert or candy from the different country.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe it was. Maybe it was mochi.
Oh, shoot. No,
It didn't.
mochi's
It
not
didn't
lipid
look
like
too
that.
much like mochi, and any mochi I've had has not squirted very strange, stringy, gloopy blue juice. So it probably wasn't. But now that we are talking about Japanese desserts, the way it's squished,
Maybe we're missing something here.
I don't know. Yeah,
Maybe we're missing that it's a dessert here because we're not used to it. I don't know.
it could be.
But it is kind of weird because everything else, a lot of other things in the movie will just look like European or American. Um, I'm looking up white dessert with colored liquid inside. I don't know. How do you even describe this?
Marshmallow cake? I don't know.
Google does not seem to know what I'm talking about, which is fair because I don't know what I'm talking about. I don't know. Well, if anyone does know, please comment. I'd be curious. Because it almost looks like marshmallow to me, but marshmallow doesn't come with colored liquid inside.
Yeah, my first thought was marshmallow, but then it started squirting goo, and then I was like, I don't know what this is.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not even sure what the goo is.
It reminded me of there was some kind of candy when I was really young that came in a tube that was sort of a clearish goo. I remember some kid, I have no idea who he was. We had a babysitter at one point, and he had this red goo in a tube that he let us try. I don't know what it was, but that's kind of what this reminded me of.
I don't know what that would be. Was it custard?
No, it was sort of clear.
Mm,
It was red, but it was clear. But it was thick like this stuff.
yeah, I don't know. Well, what's in the movie doesn't look like custard either, but I don't
No,
know if that's because they had to make do with what they had. They couldn't actually make a dessert, but they needed it to squirt out or something. I don't know.
I have no idea.
Well, anyone who knows, I'd be curious. Oh well. But anyway, I think Hansel and Gretel would be very easily adaptable to different cultures.
I wonder what cult, because at some point we probably should do the fairy tales for every child version of that. I wonder what culture they used for Hansel and Gretel.
Oh, I don't know. I can't type anymore.
Cuba.
Oh,
Interesting.
interesting choice. Maybe there's like Cuban desserts or something.
I don't know. I guess we'll eventually find out because we should do this one.
Yeah, we should.
Little Red Riding Hood is China, and the other one I want to pair these with is Goldilocks. Let me find where they've got that one because I'm sure they did Goldilocks too. Jamaica, and Goldilocks has golden dreadlocks. Hmm,
Oh, okay.
interesting.
Yeah. Anyway, shall we go back to this one?
Yes.
Yeah. Um, I will say Hansel and Gretel, the father is usually not a good father, right? Which happens a lot in these fairy tales. The dad just kind of lets the kids get abused. Um,
Mm-hmm.
in this one, it's kind of unclear whether she says that she's their mother at some point, but I can't tell if she's like actually their mother or a stepmother. Oh, I will also take this moment to say, she's the actor is really good.
Yeah.
um, it's
And
the
he
kind
played
of
both characters. He was the stepmother
yeah.
and the witch, which made me wonder if the witch was supposed to be the same person as the stepmother. It was not fully clear, but I thought they
Uh,
might have been applying that.
I didn't think that happens a lot for Hansel and Gretel storytelling. Is the mother or stepmother will be the same character as the witch? They're very common. I actually, my boyfriend and I saw a pantomime in Ireland of Hansel and Gretel, and we were surprised that it wasn't the same actor for both characters. We're actually a bit bummed by it because it would have been better.
That would kind of make sense.
Yeah. So Michael Yama was oh, okay. It does say stepmother slash Wicked Witch, so it's a stepmother. But yeah, so Michael Yama was very good. It's kind of the characterization you love to hate.
Yeah, he was kind of the perfect mix of terrifying and ridiculous.
Yeah, like campy, but yeah, it's still terrifying. You kind of enjoy watching him, but at the same time, like you don't like him.
Uh-huh.
It was the perfect characterization for these characters, so he did a great job, and he carries the whole thing.
Yeah.
And I guess the dad was kind, but I didn't really like his characterization at the same time. But so a lot of these dad characters in Hansel and Gretel tend to not care at all, but he does. He just is a weakling
Yeah.
who enables what's going on but doesn't stop it.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, this is a real reality for a lot of children where they'll have an abusive parent and enabler parent. I don't know if they purposely did that.
I suppose it's the only thing that you can do to make sense of the fact. Because, like, if they killed off the father, like if the father was non-existent, then by the end they're orphans.
Yeah,
But if you want to have them have a happy ending with a loving parent, then you've got to come up with a way to make the parent still there, but they're still in a bad position. And like
yeah,
I guess the best way to do that is to just make them an abused pushover.
yeah. And again, it very much has a seed of truth in real life as well.
Yeah.
I think there are a lot of like tellings of Hansel and Gretel where that is essentially the way it's told, and the dad actually is a good person, and they bring him money at the end, and they're rich.
Yeah.
Man, divorce wasn't possible at that time.
Not really.
Yeah, so I guess he would have been stuck with whoever he married. It's funny. I feel like Hansel and Gretel is one of those stories where, like, as a kid, you don't think very much about the dynamics of the family besides there being an evil stepmother.
Uh-huh.
Um, and as an adult watching it, I'm just like, darn, this is heavy stuff, just
Uh-huh.
especially in this version where it really leans on the stepmother. Like, to be honest, like the kids are just kind of there. You just kind of experience things happening to them. I don't feel like they really have strong personalities.
Not really.
Yeah, the only thing they really have autonomy in doing is the breadcrumb thing,
Mm-hmm.
which is fine because that's how real kids are too. Like sometimes they are just experiencing what the world's throwing at them. But so the stepmother really carries this, and just because of how like uncomfortable and unsettling this version is, in a weird way, even though it's more demented and imaginative than real life, it also feels like it has more of a foot in reality than other versions do, in my opinion.
I suppose when you're thinking about the family dynamic, yeah.
Yeah. I also thought it was interesting that so I think originally in the fairy tale it's like random animals that eat the crumbs the second time. And this time it's because she somehow has the toy duck eat the crumbs, which
There
is
was
interesting. I think that is unique to this version. I haven't seen it before.
no, there was a few things that I didn't really understand, but I had to go with like fairy tale logic.
Yeah.
Like most of the
Of
stuff.
course the duck turns into a transformer, a
Yeah,
terrifying transformer robot thing. Yeah.
that was one of the reasons why I was thinking that, like, is the stepmother supposed to be the witch also? Because the stepmother gives the duck to them. The duck eats the crumbs, which seems like a magical thing, or rocks, crumbs, whatever. Whatever it is, the duck eats it. And it does it through the entire walk through the woods, and it somehow can fit them all inside it. But then it transforms into some kind of a robot that leads them to the witch's house. But because the duck had been given to them by the stepmother and it brings them to the witch, I'm like, Is the stepmother supposed to be the witch?
I think so, yes. Well, there's always been even in the original fairy tale, there's a tie to between the two characters. Because it pretty much this version is pretty much accurate from what I remember. Like they go home and then the stepmother's gone too. So there's like this implication of them being tied together, kind of.
I never thought of that as a kid, but now that you
Yeah,
mention that, you are correct. Because
yeah,
to me, reading it as a kid, I just know that this is a happy ending, and they never mention the stepmother again. I never stopped to think about why is the stepmother gone. But
yeah.
that makes sense if the stepmother was the witch.
Maybe in their trauma of the events, the kids like kind of made up this hallucination of a candy house.
The
I
kids
mean,
murdered their stepmother in the woods and
it is pretty
hallucinated
traumatic.
a candy excuse.
Yeah, I mean, it's a big deal to push your stepmother in an oven.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, especially if it's because she plans to eat one of you. So, fair. Though again, sometimes I do sometimes listen or like read stuff about like child psychology of, let's just say, children with traumatic experiences. And sometimes they do like rationalize what's happening to them in a fantastical way, or like the only way they can describe something what's happening is like some of their descriptions sound very bizarre to us. So like, if she like enticed them with a bunch of like food and she wanted to eat one, I don't know. Like maybe it would just sound weird, like they're talking about a candy house or something.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's an interesting fairy tale in general.
It is. It's not something that I ever gave too much thought of as a kid.
Same. I actually used to love this version, like a book version I had, because the art was so like, I guess looking back, it's like 1950s, 1960s storybook art, and I used to love it. And now I'm like, wow, I loved that book, and but I never really thought about the story. You know what I mean?
Uh-huh. Like it's one of those stories where it's like, yeah, that's what happened. They had to fight a witch. But like if
Yeah,
you start thinking about it, like they're two abused children who were purposely abandoned in the woods and left to die, and then
yeah,
someone literally wants to eat them, and then they
yeah.
have to kill an adult to escape. Like this is a messed up dark story. And
It really
it
is.
didn't
Though,
even strike me as weird when I was a kid. It's like, yeah, they fought a witch. That's fairy tales for you.
yeah. So now I'm kind of like, even as I think I would still let my kids read Hansel and Gretel because I think it has a lot of quote unquote reality to it. Sometimes some adults can't be trusted, and you do have to do something about it,
Hmm.
which is essentially what happens. Sometimes you have to push the adult in the huge oven.
If an adult tries to eat you, burn them.
Yeah. Fairy tales are interesting, aren't they? Like the kind of messages they send.
They
I feel like,
are.
yeah, compared to some of the other fairy tales, this is almost kind of modern in the sense of some adults shouldn't be trusted and you have to protect yourself.
Uh-huh. I mean, that's kind of the point of a lot of fairy tales. They were trying to teach a lesson to kids in a way that the kids would understand and or enjoy.
Yeah, especially because adults are usually such, authorities in children's stories. So in
Hmm.
this one, I mean, that said, there are a lot of fairy tales where it kind of turns around and the adult is not the trusted one, like in Cinderella too.
Yeah.
But yeah, just interesting. Oh, the beds are terrifying.
I loved the beds.
But were they terrifying at the same time? I hope you
Yes.
don't want to get in one. Okay.
Yes, they were like up until that point, everything was just kind of weird
Yeah,
because like I had seen some clips of this. I had never seen the whole thing before I decided to do it for the podcast. I had just
yeah,
seen some clips and some pictures of the witch, and I was expecting the way I'd heard people talking about it, like this is bizarre. So for the first half, I was like, yeah, this is weird, but like, eh, it's not. It's just kind of off. I enjoy it,
yeah.
but it's just kind of off. But then when the hands sprouted out of the bed and started grabbing the kids, I was like, okay, we're in. I love this.
This is, I'm pretty sure this is unique to this version of Hansel and Gretel. Um, Things don't usually heat up in the story until Hansel is put into a cage. But in this one, it's the beds that start the story going off the rails.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's terrifying. And honestly, I feel like as an adult, I feel like it's even worse to the idea of beds having hands and touching the children in the bed. Like, oh no. But yeah, it's scary.
Yeah. I guess I didn't even think of it in like that. I was just thinking of like the imagery of like these creepy hands sprouting out of the bed and grabbing them. It's just so I like I've never seen something like that before because they're like candy cane colored.
Yeah.
Just the imagery already has just been strange and surreal. But at this point, it cranks up to 11 and keeps going.
Yeah, it just continues.
Yeah.
Even when Hansel is in his prison, I guess, and then above him, like that snake thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just so unsettling. But yeah, I think this adaptation, just the way things go nuts at this
Yeah.
point,
Yeah.
and it doesn't back down. It just keeps going.
Yes.
Even when you see the oven, it's quite, it's not as scary as the beds, but it is quite like ominous and creepy.
Uh-huh.
And if you know the story, you know what's going to happen to it. But like, I could imagine even if you didn't know the story, the oven shape would creep you out.
Even if you knew the story, everything that happens in this scene is so bizarre. Like, who else but Tim Burton could come up with something like this?
Yeah.
It's so bizarre and creative.
See, I miss 80s Tim Burton. What happened to him? He got too mainstream, I guess, or something. But like, this is what I want for Alice. Like, I want a demented storybook version of Alice like this, please.
Yeah.
Not gonna happen. But I absolutely love this fairy tale that he did. I wish he did more,
Yeah, me too.
but we're never gonna get more. It's unfortunate this didn't take off at the time. Maybe we would have.
Yeah, I don't know. This feels like it's very niche. Like, this
It
is
is very
not going
niche.
to be for everyone's taste.
Yeah. Though ironically, I think people would love it nowadays. I think they would adore this if it was made now, but I don't know. Especially kids now are so into horror, weird, like actual horror. I think they'd love this.
Yeah, they might.
Yeah, but I don't know. They don't watch it now though, so maybe they wouldn't. But maybe they should try it. If you haven't watched this, I highly recommend trying it out.
Yeah.
Like at least once in your life. You don't have to watch it again, but that's it. I watch it every once in a while. It's fun.
Yeah, it definitely is.
Yeah. My skin crawls every time I think I'll be used to it. And every time the gingerbread man comes back on, my skin crawls all over again.
That thing is
Um,
so weird.
it's
Especially when its
so
face
creepy.
changes.
Yeah, so creepy. Especially the enticing like Hansel to eat him. It's just ugh.
Screaming at him to eat him.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, it's so creepy. And Hansel eats him. I'd be like, aren't you full from eating the freaking house yet?
They ate so much. I'm like, are they gonna blow the children up? Like, have them balloon into like Violet Beauregard from Charlie and the Chocolate Factory? But
Yeah.
they didn't. But they kept eating, and I'm like, where's it going?
Yeah, I guess this is supposed to be the part of the fairy tale where like the witch forces him to eat.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, yeah, ugh, creeps me out.
It was effective though.
It was effective. Yep. I mean, this whole story, the way it's done, is very effective.
Yeah.
And then like the paint, essentially, it descends into chaos. As we mentioned earlier, like kung fu fighting.
I love the
Um,
fight. I love that
yeah,
they had the children like actually fighting her.
yeah, and like the paint splatters during the
Uh-huh.
fight, or I guess it's supposed to be some kind of dessert, but I can't tell what it's meant to be still. But the liquid from the walls of the house make a comeback.
Uh-huh.
Um, I feel like this is the whole reason why they even did it in the first place, because they wanted it to like splash around in the final sequence.
Yeah.
And she ends up in the oven.
Yeah,
We
she
all
kung fu kicks herself into the oven. She's like going after the children and tries to do a kung fu kick, and they move back, and she flies into the oven. And they close her in.
I do always enjoy though that it is a purposeful decision by the characters to trick her into there.
Uh-huh. I love the looks
Um,
on their faces.
yeah,
Just smiling at her like, yeah, come get us.
yeah. I always enjoy when characters like even though they're quote unquote good characters, they make an active decision to do something like that. Other examples being like Dorothy throwing water on the Wicked Witch of the West, though she didn't know she would die from it, but like
These kids knew they were killing her.
yeah, these kids knew that she wasn't she was gonna get messed up, and they chose it, and good for them.
I mean, she was going to eat them, so you got to do what you got to do, I guess.
Yeah, I don't know. I appreciate teaching our children that sometimes you have to protect yourselves.
Sometimes you have to murder a witch.
Yeah, well, it was the option, you know. Um, but yeah, essentially. I forgot to mention how much I love just how crazy the witch looks as well, like the costume and the candy cane nose.
Uh-huh.
Just crazy insanity.
Yes. Very memorable.
The way she could like take things off her dress too. So like the throwing stars come from her dress. They're
Uh-huh.
like cookies or something.
She also had cookie cutters that she was using as weapons.
Oh yeah, I laughed as she advanced towards the camera with them, like they were like weapons of war or something. Like gonna cut you up into stars. And then even the swan at the end looked demented, and the way the coins fall out of the swan's mouth, like, you know?
I wasn't sure what to make of that. That was another thing where I was like, I'll just go with it because it's a fairy tale.
I think some original versions do have a swan, but other times
Oh,
they just find like coins and jewels in the house already before they leave.
okay.
Yeah, I don't
Well,
know.
with this one, it
But
was like they knew that the swan was gonna give them coins, because like the dad talks about making them a spaghetti dinner that was very random. And the kids are like, we don't have any money. And then the dad looks up at the swan, and the swan starts barfing coins.
okay, so apparently, yes, in some versions of the fairy tale, a friendly white duck or a swan helps the children cross the large body of water on their journey home.
Huh. That
Yeah,
wasn't in the version I grew up with.
I think it's usually taken out. It's kind of like you already have the climax. You don't really need another like adventure on the way home.
Yeah, that's true. A lot of old fairy tales do sometimes have just random things happening for no reason, just because
Yeah,
somebody had a weird idea and threw it in there.
but apparently, reading the Wikipedia page, the duck or swan does not vomit coins. The children find jewels in the witch's house before they leave and
That makes
pack
a
their
lot more
pockets with them.
sense.
Yeah. So I don't know, maybe there might be versions where the swan vomits it out.
I mean, it's a Tim Burton thing. I'm sure this feels like something that he made up.
He's but actually it's more faithful. At least than what that's what the heck. And yeah, then they have that final shot of them descending into heaven with coins.
Again, I didn't know what was happening.
I should say ascending to heaven. But that one, it was you could tell it was like reversed, so they probably jumped down from someplace.
Yeah,
But reverse footage is always interesting. Yeah, so I hope you enjoyed that.
I loved it.
Yeah, I
Especially
love it too.
especially that second half. The first half was a bit slow and bizarre, but I enjoyed it for what it was.
Even then, I think it sets up. I will say, I do think it sets up the second half perfectly.
Yeah,
But yeah, it is a bit slow.
it does make it so that the second half is a shock to the system compared to what you had before.
I actually like even thinking about it. The first half is almost like suspenseful, especially with some of the piano music,
Uh-huh.
especially that eating scene.
Yeah.
Oh, I forgot to mention the witch has that creepy line when they do get the house. She says, "I don't know if you haven't noticed yet, but everything in my house is edible." Like, like foreshadowing, you are edible too. Like, ugh. I recommend this to everyone. If you haven't seen it yet, I really think you should all check it out.
Yeah, definitely. Me too.
Yeah, though if you probably spoiled yourself already listening to this.
I mean, even if you had never watched this and you listen to this podcast, still watch it
Yeah,
because it is just it's one of those movies that I could just watch just for the visuals,
yeah,
especially the second half.
yeah. And I rewatch it every once in a while.
You kind of just have to experience it.
It's experience. It really is.
Yeah.
I don't think there's anybody I wouldn't. I guess I would only not recommend this to someone who's very sensitive
Yeah.
to, like, I don't know, suspenseful surprises or maybe the implications of the story, but in which case I feel like maybe you shouldn't watch any Hansel and Gretel's. This just kind of takes the fairy tale, but it's still a faithful version of the fairy tale ultimately, so it just kind of umps up the creepiness,
Uh-huh.
but it's still like appropriate. Like a child could technically watch it. Do you want to traumatize a child by showing it? That's another question. Um, it's kind of up to you. Your mileage may vary. You know your child best.
Yeah.
But I think if your child like plays Five Nights at Freddy's or something, they'll
Oh
probably be
yeah.
fine with this.
Yeah. I feel like this is like right on the border. Like I can't tell you for sure whether or not child me would have liked this or been terrified.
I would
'Cause
have hated this, but like in the back of my mind, I would have been like, it would have haunted my dreams, and I would have secretly loved it.
yeah, I probably would have been similar. Because like I didn't like a lot of scary stuff. I still don't love scary things, but like there's just so much imagination in this and the visuals and the just it's so creative. Again, like you said, you know your kid. Like some kids will love this. Some kids might be disturbed, but like
Yeah,
this is like the perfect Halloween thing.
it really is. I think I would have the idea of like in the 80s or 90s being home on Halloween and like channel surfing and coming across this would have been amazing.
Yeah.
And I think Disney is sleeping on this.
Yeah, they need to do an official release. I would love to watch this with better picture quality because right now all we've got is something that looks scratchy and taped off an old VCR.
Yeah, VHS rip.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, I do understand they probably have a lot of rights to figure out with this, but it's worth it. Just figure it out.
yeah, definitely. I would love to see this on a much better screen than just my laptop and an old VHS rip.
Oh my gosh, theaters?
Ugh,
Crazy. That'd be nuts.
yes, IMAX. Experience the squishiness for yourself in surround sound and a giant 3 giraffes tall screen.
3D.
The witch's
Feels
nose
like
comes out of the
the
screen
gingerbread
at
man
you.
is asking you to eat him. Sticks out his arm to you.
I need an IMAX version of this. Oh, yeah. I did not expect to love this as much as I did. I'm so glad that I finally watched this. I knew that this would be one that I would watch eventually, but I didn't expect it to be something that I would have gotten so into.
Yay, I'm happy.
Yeah,
I'm happy you liked it.
this is so much fun.
I, w I wish there were more, but it is what it
Yeah,
is.
yeah. Oh well, at least we have this.
Yeah, exactly. I guess it's perfect for what it is.
It is.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't even know, like, if I would suggest anything. Like, to be honest, the kids could have been a little bit better, I guess. But, like, they were okay. And they felt like real kids.
Mm-hmm.
If anything, kind of, I don't know, it just added to the unsettledness of it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's a perfect short.
Yeah.
I wish Tim Burton still made stuff like this.
What was the last thing that he did?
Oh gosh. I know he did well, he did Beetlejuice 2. What did he do after that?
Oh yeah,
Beetlejuice 2 I have mixed feelings about.
we've talked about doing Beetlejuice for the podcast too, because I've never seen
Yeah.
any Beetlejuice.
If you put me on for Beetlejuice 2, I'll just vent about how it's a ripoff of the musical. Um, he did a music video for Lady Gaga, apparently.
He
Oh, as a
did?
producer. Wednesday's the last thing he's done after Beetlejuice. But yeah, he doesn't direct as much as he used to, I think.
I guess he's probably just been stuck doing Wednesday, because doesn't he write and direct on that?
He produces. Yeah, he writes as well. I know he didn't want to do Beetlejuice. He was kind of persuaded to do it, and then he got kind of interested in it because copying the musical. Like, I guess he thought he did it better. I don't know. Yeah. Oh wait, I think there's supposed to be a Mars Attacks remake. Is he working on that?
That's another movie I've never seen.
I saw it as a kid and I was traumatized. I hated it.
Anyways, we loved this.
Yeah, I love this. I hope everyone enjoys it. I highly recommend it. That said, your mileage may vary with like sensitive kids or sensitive people,
Yeah.
but I really think there's nothing too traumatizing in it. So
No, yeah.
yeah,
It's just, if you like Tim Burton, this is a no-brainer. You need to see
if you like
this.
children's media that like is creepy but never quite passes the line into like actual horror,
Yeah,
this is perfect for you.
yeah. If you ever wondered what would it would be like if Mr. Rogers tried to make a horror movie.
I guess the dad is kind of like Mr. Rogers. He plays with puppets. He's very gentle.
That's
Wait a second.
true.
You're onto something here. If Mr. Rogers married an abusive woman,
Yeah. This is so bizarre. I love it.
Alright, anyway, highly recommended. Thumbs up.
Yes. Well, we will be back for more fairy tales in the future. Probably more Hansel and Gretel at some point as well.
Yeah, I would love to cover more Hansel and Gretel. It's a weird story.
Yes. Until then, do you want to let people know where they can find you?
Sure. So I have anything that strikes my fancy on Look at the Fairy Tale. I don't remember if I have any Hansel and Gretel on there, but if I ever did, it'd be on that channel. And then Alice Media on my Phantomwise channel, also on YouTube.
Okay. Well, until next time.
See ya.
Thanks for listening to Every Version Ever. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to subscribe and follow my co-hosts as well. All of our links will be in the description below. If you'd like more podcasts like this one, all of our shows are available on YouTube as well as most podcast platforms. If you'd like to support this show, check out Johncast Media on Patreon for everything here, plus bonus and extended episodes you won't find anywhere else. We'll be back soon with another brand new episode, so thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.